In this beautiful age in which we're not bound by traditional roles in life, I suggest everybody take a chance and look at the different recipes. You have time before you have to go back to the real world. Sitting at home, take out the recipe book that comes from our ethnic recipes for failure or for success, and look at the recipe that's given to us in today's Old Testament reading about Sennacherib. Here was a man who was a very successful chef. He was conquering peoples left, right, and center, and he comes to this little pipsqueak of a nation called Israel, and he tells the recipe for victory. He says, "Don't let that God whom you trust in deceive you." Boy, it's a recipe for our own day. Don't let God deceive you. What the hell does he have any power? He can't do anything. Follow the white-coated gods who tell you how to live your life. Uh, so the king of Israel is desperate. He takes the letter he gets from this Sennacherib, conqueror of the world, and he puts it on the altar. And he prays, Hezekiah prays, "I can't defend myself against this man. What should I do?" And of course, the prophet comes back and says, "He will never enter the city of Jerusalem, this proud blowhard. He will go back from the way he came." That very night, 185,000 soldiers of Assyria died in their own camp, killed by the God who would not be mocked. The other recipe is a more modern version. It's an Italian recipe, so I'm sure you're going to like it. It's an Italian recipe put together by Pier Giorgio Frassati, a mountain climber, a civil engineer, mining engineer, the descendant of La Stampa. This is a big newspaper in Italy. He lived in Milano and Turin, excuse me, and he was a young man, and he tells us a recipe that he followed for a successful life. First of all, he says the apostolate of good example. You will live your life by Christian Catholic principles. And secondly was the apostolate of charity. He said St. Paul says that Jesus needs us, and the fire of charity, little by little, burns away our personality so that we only have a heart that beats for the sufferings of other. Heart, again, I can't get away from heart. This is the month of the Sacred Heart, and everything I read now talks about hearts. Anyway, so he says that it burns away our personality, and our heart beats only for the sufferings of others. And then the third postulate is the postulate of persuasion. Young people who have no faith and who have been living lives of sin come to work and to school and talk to us, and we need to persuade them to follow in the footsteps of Jesus Christ. Not a very exciting recipe, but when he died at 24, having received from the poor people he worked with, the great gift of polio, his hand was all paralyzed. He wrote a note on his deathbed telling his friend to take this medicine that some nobody, some poor nothing needed. And he did. His funeral, by the way, he died on a great day, July 4th. He teaches our nation where true freedom is to be found, in the service of the poor. Anyway, his funeral was huge, and it was in Turin, and there were two groups of people. One were his friends and family, and they were shocked when they saw all these poor people in the streets, lining the streets. Who are these people? Friends of their son, their friend. And the poor were just as shocked. Who is this guy? We know him as a wonderful Catholic boy who was helping, but we never knew he was the heir to the Stampa newspaper. There's going to be a lot of shocks in heaven. I hope the shock of your life will be of such that you will be very proud to say, I have only one heart, and it beats for the sufferings of others.